but without it, the tree looks kind of weird. And there's many ideas about what Darth represents. Some say, if you look at your tree, that it's the place where Malkuth, which is the bottom sphere, it's the place where the bottom sphere used to be. Others say that the whole tree dropped, the idea of the fall. It doesn't really matter for what we're using it for. Just think of it as this separation between one set of physical laws, or one set of laws and another set. This is the laws of the quantum world. These are the laws of the physical universe. Sometimes it can represent self-doubt. When you travel on some of the path workings that you do in the Qabbalah, you usually start at the bottom and work your way up. And as with all things in life, there are often times when you go through a project, or you pursue a passion, or you go off on an adventure, and you find this moment of self-doubt where you start wondering whether or not you're actually doing the right thing. A great example, The Long Way Round. Anyone see The Long Way Round with Ewan McGregor? Excellent. They rode their motorbikes around the world. Okay, the long way. From from London to New York, going all the way across the continent of, went through Kazakhstan, Russia, and all that stuff, and then they got a plane over from across the Bering Strait.
You know that it's about. Oh, never mind. What did you say? How many miles around there is it? What did you say that was today? We figured that today.
25,000 miles.
Right.
So minus that last link right there.
Right. So yeah, it was a long drive.
It was 129 days.
Yeah, but they experienced self-doubt at one point and wondered if there was any validity to what they were doing, why they were doing it. But they were able to push through that, and then the experiences that they gained for that was so much more wonderful. But we always experience those moments of self-doubt, and that's what Darth represents. It's called an abyss because if you fall into that abyss of self-doubt, you travel all the way back down to earth again, like snakes. We call them snakes and ladders. What do you call them?
It's chutes and ladders.
Chutes and ladders. You have chutes,
It's the same thing, though.
but you don't have snakes?
No, that's the same thing.
Well, that's a child's game. It would be too scary if it was snakes and ladders.
It's not PC here.
It's not PC. Okay.
We used to actually have laundry chutes.
Okay. Oh, well, there we
We
go.
got them from you.
Well, we had snakes.
They're called snakes. Where
Yeah.
you put your laundry down.
No.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, chutes and ladders.
yeah.
Ladders are playground slides,
Okay.
Does it matter?
It probably doesn't. Thank you, Connor. Good point. Excellent.
You.
All right. Now, sometimes what stops us getting what we desire out of life is some kind of block. That subtle self-doubt that says to us, I don't really deserve this. Take a look at the thing that you've written down that you desire, that you don't have. And ask yourself, what is keeping you from receiving this? And write down, if you have an answer, what it is. Now, it could be time, it could be money, it could be fear.
Is that number 3?
Not yet. No, we're just writing it down, and then we're going to get to a word. It will actually be number 4, but we're not complete with number 4 yet.
Okay, so write down what's keeping us, but just somewhere else.
Yeah, in the top section. Remember, the bottom section is your final stuff. Right at the moment, we're just writing down, we're just throwing ideas around in their head. You know.
Sorry, what was number 3?
We haven't done number 3 yet. We're getting there.
Sorry.
That's right. But yes, we are going to do that. So yeah, the block. What's the block? What is it that's stopping you getting what you want? What is it stopping you getting what you desire? And when you have that, can you get that down to one word? And if you can, on line 4, not line 3, line 4, please write down, I release, and write down the block. And right after it, write down, and receive, and write down your desire. This is your manifestation phrase. Now the reason that we're doing this, Darth, the abyss, of self-doubt is, if you like, the blood-brain barrier, the spiritual blood-brain barrier between our ego and our physical body. Whoa, what the hell is that? Oh, yeah, I broke your stereo, man. And our will and desire. Only the purest of desires can make it through to Baina and Hukmah and to Keta. Only the purest of desires. And by that I mean, as long as you are holding on to the idea that you gotta really have this, you're not going to get it. Unless there's some other reason why you do. But most of the time, we find ourselves continuing in a state of want because we've created this, and yet we have this doubt out here that we don't deserve it, or there's some excuse why we don't have it. And that's the block that sits in front of us. So if you identify that and you write down, I release the block and receive the desire, on number 4, then we're a step a ways along our process. Okay, now we're going to talk about the macrocosm, the realm of the prince. Remember, he fell down into the, if you like, the ethereal world. Now here's what we have here. And I'll start with the first piece of the triad. And this is another important principle. It's a hermetic principle, as above, so below. In other words, everything that's contained within the physical world is contained within the ethereal world, and vice versa. So there are three spheres at this piece of it. There's actually 5 altogether in this section. The first one is called Chesed, or Chesed, or Chesed, and represents mercy. The 5th one is called Gabora, and represents might, or strength, or all kinds of things. And I'll explain about that. Then we have here Tifereth, which is sometimes spelt with a PH, sometimes spelt with an F, and is called harmony. Before we go into the details of this, we need to talk a little bit about the pillars. That graph doesn't have the pillars on it, does it? The pillars are a concept which I'm just going to draw on here real quick. Anyone seen or anyone have a set of tarot cards? Anyone seen a set of tarot cards that has the High Priestess card in it? The High Priestess has a black and white pillar on either side. One's labelled with Beth and one's labelled with, I can't remember what it is now. It might be a Yod actually. Either way, it's, those represent the pillars of Boaz and Yahim, which was the pillars of might and severity that were in Solomon's temple. That's what those pillars are. They're from the Qabbalah. All the tarot cards that come from the Rider-Waite school of thought and the Thoth deck, they're all tied to the Qabbalah. Whole different class. But so these 2 pillars represent our extremes, if you like. On the one hand, you have the pillar of might, and on the other hand, you have the pillar of mercy. Right down the middle, there's a concept known as the middle pillar, which I'm not going to draw because at this point it starts looking like a racetrack and it gets a bit scary. But
This is saying pillar of severity. Is that the same as the pillar of might?
yes, yeah, might, severity,
Okay.
yeah.
So you have it on here.
Now there's a concept.
It's like, yeah, you have
That's
oh, I see.
8 and 7.
I do?
Pillar of mercy.
Oh, okay, cool, excellent. I downloaded this morning because I wanted a cool image that I was allowed to use. So I didn't even get a chance to look at it. So. The middle pillar is called the pillar of power. Now there is a concept in the Golden Dawn, which is a Hermetic ceremonial magic tradition, which is also where the tarot cards we use now originated from. Here's the saying: unbalanced power is the ebbing away of life. Unbalanced mercy is weakness and the fading out of the will. Unbalanced severity is cruelty and the barrenness of mind. So what does this mean? Well, unbalanced power. Power is the middle pillar. Why wouldn't you want to be on the middle pillar all the time? If you're permanently at one with the universe, sitting alone, you know, in your cave in your underpants, just being in a state of complete bliss and happiness, well, that's wonderful for you. Then it's great. You're not hurting anyone, so that's fine. But at the same time, you're not interacting with the rest of the world in any meaningful way. So, since the whole world, the whole universe is a universe of relativity, of relating to one another, since at the quantum level things exist because they're observed, if you're not relating with the world, if you're not observing or being observed by the world, then your place in it becomes of less importance. That's what they mean by the ebbing away of life. It's okay to do that if you want to do that, but understand that at that point, for your own internal reality, the difference between life and death is meaningless anyway, so why are you living, you know? So that's the first concept. It's a lot better to, well, we'll talk about the other concepts and I'll explain that. Unbalanced mercy is weakness and the fading out of the will. How can mercy be weakness? What does it mean? Anyone? Anyone? Yes, Connor.
It's like when you are nice to somebody when they don't deserve it. And if you do that too many times, and it's just not.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yes.
I agree.
Who said that? Oh, okay, Gregory. I thought someone's played a ventriloquist trick on Shannon because I couldn't see him. Yeah, unbalanced mercy, what this is referring to is if you spend your whole life in service to others, that can also be an honourable thing too. But you have to have respect for your higher self. You have to have respect and be of service to yourself too. Because otherwise you can't be the most effective person that you can be on the planet. So it's important to have self-respect too. It's important to be, because then you're more able to empathise with other people and recognise the struggles and trials that they go through and therefore be more helpful to them. So, and besides, if we are all part of one consciousness, then I'd like it if you guys were happy. You know, I don't want part of my consciousness acting like a doormat. I mean, come on. Sorry. Okay, unbalanced severity is cruelty and the barrenness of mind. That kind of makes a lot of sense to me. Selfishness, extreme selfishness. I don't want that in my consciousness either, so please quit. It is, the idea is that any one of these pillars has validity for you at certain times in your life, any one of these ways of beings. But the purpose of the universe is not to sit in any one place. It's all about movement. It's all that's happening all the time is movement of energy from place to place. Now, you can exist in a place of complete and happy enlightenment, and that may be what you want to do. But if you want to exist in a social structure, in a world that's changing and growing and evolving, then it's okay to dip to one of these pillars from time to time, to dip to these different points of consciousness. Anybody got any questions about that? It's kind of a funky concept. Does it make sense?
Could you repeat that last part again?
Which bit?
The bit that I didn't quite get.
About universe.
That last sentence about that movement.
Yeah, the universe is movement. Okay, you can sit in your cave and do the underpants thing if you like. Why am I so hung up on underpants today?
That was the monk thing, I think, that started out.
For you.
It is, isn't it?
Depends with the hermit all the time.
I know. What can I tell you? So, but the universe is about interaction. It's about relating. It's about observing, and it's about being observed. So, it's good to be out in the world. It's good to be interacting with other people. But when you do that, there are going to be times when you're pulled to one side of the pillar or to the other side. So, that's okay. You can rebalance and you should rebalance, and there are all kinds of exercises that you can do, and I will tell you about some of them later. There's a great one called the middle pillar exercise, which helps you bring yourself back into center. There's the Kabbalistic cross, which is extremely easy, which it looks a bit like the Catholic spectacles, testicles, wallet and watch thing. It's just like that. So there's that. there's different things that you can do to bring yourself back into center, but it's the most important point I'm trying to get across here is that all these different aspects that we're going to talk about of our emotional states, we have those for a reason. And if we weren't supposed to have them, we wouldn't have them. So you shouldn't beat yourself up when you go too far to one extreme from time to time. As long as your ultimate purpose is to find balance and peace within yourself and to live in joy and and love and everything else, then you'll be good. Okay.
So you're going to give us the secret to speeding all that up.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
Is that really good at getting to the one extreme or the other? Yeah.
Chocolate, dark chocolate, lots and lots of dark
With
chocolate.
oranges,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tifereth represents harmony and beauty. It sits in the middle of the tree and is seen as the spiritual home of the prince. Now there are paths connecting each of these Sephiroths together because they don't exist in isolation. Back to the cave again. Okay. The reason that all these are connected is because they're supposed to be. There's supposed to be interaction between these different forces. Now these three spheres together represent the second triad, or sometimes it's called the first reflection of the supernal triad. See how it kind of flips like that? This is male and this is female. Or positive and negative, whichever one you look at.
Second triad?
Second triad, or sometimes the first reflection.
First reflection. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Underneath that, we have two more.
I'll discuss it in those notes, right?
Yeah, you don't have to write this down, it's all in here. Except for the one-liners, which you're probably better off without anyway. Okay, here we have Hod, which is splendor, not the sweetener. And unless I got that the wrong way around. Netzach, which represents victory. Now, what's interesting here is that they actually twist, the tree twists. Netzach is on the masculine side of the tree, but is in fact feminine in nature. And Hod is quite the opposite. It's feminine. It's on the feminine side of the tree, but it's masculine in nature. Now, this is a reminder that all is contained within the all. Every masculine entity on this planet has some feminine in it. Every feminine aspect has some masculine in it. Or as my friend Kevin is very fond of saying, everyone's got a little sunshine in their souls, Vaughan. So,
Which side's the masculine, which side's the feminine?
this is mostly feminine. This is mostly masculine.
Feminine?
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't do that, but don't take that as anything other than a energetic.
Call it yin and yang. Or
Yeah, yin yang, form, force, up, down, whatever works for you. Yeah. Yeah. Shim to the left, shim to the right.
So I don't see what it's twisting. What do you
Well, this is an interesting. Okay, the twist shows.
Splendor and might on one side, victory and mercy.
Right, the twist is there to demonstrate that there is masculine and feminine in masculine. Okay, that there is, each is contained within the other.
Because usually splendor is male in nature, so male in nature would be over here, and the victory is female in nature. So if you imagine like a helix,
Well, I
or
guess
within a
I don't see that. I see splendor more as feminine and victory.
Well, the words.
masculine.
Well, okay, why? I'm curious. Oh,
I know why.
okay.
Okay, why?
Victory is something that's after the battle, which is associated more with men than with women.
Only in this society, but before that, actually, it was matriarchal societies.
True.
So, and splendor just seems more like an appreciation of, because women do more shopping, probably.
Yeah.
You know, in nature, a lot of times it's the male of the species that has the more
That's
splendid,
true.
you
Peacocks.
know, like
Right.
peacocks.
In terms of what Netzach represents here, it tends to represent. Sorry, it tends to represent victory over life's obstacles.
Not battle.
Well, we can do.
Okay, so I see that's feminine.
But it also represents. It's okay. That's all right. Now here's the other thing. It also represents what they call the degraded mother. And it sounds worse than it is. What that's really saying, this is part of the third triad. It's part of the second reflection. And we're approaching the material plane here. Okay? So a portion of this is tied into the animal soul. We're starting to feel the pull of the physical world.
So when you say we're approaching the material plane now, are we on the ethereal plane?
Yes, this is the ethereal plane right here. Yep. Okay. This is where the emotions of, or not the emotions, where the concepts of understanding and wisdom, understanding and mercy, have become the animal emotions that we feel. They're the little chemical reactions that occur every day in our body that let us know how we're doing. Okay, so we're starting to, this is all, you can also see this as your brain. Okay, there are so many different ways to look at this. Hod represents splendor. Splendor in all things, like the great majesty of the universe stretching out before us. A pretty flower. The smiles on babies' faces. And, little bunnies jumping. But it also represents the degraded father. It represents animal reasoning. And essentially the kind of the fight or flight response. Now there's one more that's kind of important before we get to the last one here. Oops, can't spell. Now all these to about all these are part of the formative world. The world of formation. And we're going to revisit these in a moment. I want to take you through Yesod first. This is also, elementally, think of this as air. Think of it as the mind. Yesod is known as foundation, and it's our connection from the material world to the ethereal world. It's like that little, transceiver that we have in our brain that connects us to everyone else. This is the place where, when you start looking into the Qabbalah and the animal associations and things like this is the place where you find cats. Anyone see the movie Constantine? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a cool line in it where Constantine, who's Keanu Reeves, was given this cat. She says, "Do you mind the cat being here?" He said, "No, cats are cool. They're half in, half out anyway." So yeah, cats kind of live in two worlds. Yesod is an interesting place because it was... Did you go? Oh, okay, sweet, I'm sorry. Take care. There'll be notes on this. Yesod is an interesting place because this is where, in Egyptian mythology, this is the place where you first started your journey back up the tree when you shuffled off this mortal coil. Now, there's an Egyptian, what was originally a concept but became a deity called Mayat, M-A''. Mayat has these scales, and the idea is when you die, she takes your heart, drops it on the scales, and puts a feather on the other scale. Now, if your heart weighs more or less than the feather, then you get eaten by the devourer of souls. Okay, but if it balances, then off you go to the next, realm of existence. Now, why is that? Well, if your heart was too heavy, if it was too tied to the material plane, or not so light, so let me try this again. If you were too tied to the material plane, you couldn't move on. And I need to explain that concept real quick. If you fill your life with money and cars and acquisitions and all this stuff, you can see those signs that say whoever dies with the most toys wins. Mm-hmm. That's bollocks, pardon my French, or English actually. What that means is that you're filling up yourself, your identity, your connection with the consciousness. You're filling that up with material stuff that isn't going to matter when you start pushing up daisies. So there's less of you, there's less of your spiritual self that can be passed on, okay? So that makes you heavier than the feather. On the other hand, if you're too light, what does she mean by that? Mayat thinks you're too light if you've been, I guess, living in the cave, for example, in which case you may have missed the point of existence. The point of existence is to get out into the world and have fun and be with people and, you know, explore existence, explore experience. Because we want to have lots of experiences so that we can all share them, you know, here and then later. So experience is the key. And they're finding now, I used to say that brain cells couldn't be regenerated. They're discovering now that they are. And you can regenerate brain cells with new experiences. So if you want to stay away from, was it Alzheimer's? Have lots of experiences. All right, so this is the end of the ethereal world, the world of air. And we're about to enter the world of manifestation, which is the physical plane. Before we do, I want to just kind of recap these four worlds and try and give you a better picture of them in your head. So imagine a 4-story building, and on the first floor are a whole bunch of chairs, just like these, all different sizes, shapes and so on. Okay, just chairs. You can sit on them, you can kick them, you can play with them. Musical chairs. Take the elevator to the second floor. Now you're in the ethereal world of formation. When you open the elevator doors, you see a whole bunch of guys running around with pocket protectors and glasses, you know, scotch taped together. There's all these drafts boards in there, there's computers.
Lab coats.
Some of them probably forgot to wear it, some of them probably put it on outside. Yeah. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so this is, and they're designing chairs. This is where chairs are designed. This is the world of formation. This is where ideas first gain their structure so that they can manifest. They can't manifest in this world because this isn't a material world. The material world's down here. But the ideas, the structures of them are formed here. Okay? The actual structures. You take an elevator up to the third floor. This is the world of desire and creativity. And you open the door and there's Thomas Edison walking around tired. He's on his feet all the time. I'm on my feet all the time. I invented the light bulb. I need some rest, and yet all I've got is this floor. I need something to sit on. A chair. I'll call it a chair. That's what we need, a chair. So then he calls down to the guys downstairs and says, guys, I need a chair. Something to sit on. You fill in the blanks. And off they go. Okay? So that's the world of formation. Of desire. That is the world of creation right there. Thomas Edison. Okay? Think of Thomas Edison. Finally, you take the elevator up to the fourth floor, and it's kind of misty, and there's nothing really there except the simple experience of being. There is this idea of I am. Not I am tired, not I am happy, not I am sad, not I am Vaughan, not I am going to have your pants ready in a week on Thursday. Just I am. That's the will. The world of the will, the archetypal world, the world of emanation, whatever you want to call it. It's the Big Bang, the first explosion. So the will is our essence of being. That's the fourth floor. The desire is made possible by that existence. The thoughts translate desires into emotions that allow things to manifest. You've seen the Tut thing, the tut.com. Anyone know who knows tut.com? Thoughts become things. Okay, yeah. If you guys don't have it, I really recommend going to it. Let me write. TUT. You know what? Screw it. I'll tell you later. TUT.com. What it does is every single day you get a thing in your mailbox. It's just it's a little note from the universe. Yeah, a little. Yeah. Yes, your email box. Sorry, I just not that one. And it'll be a little note from the universe telling you how great you're doing and what's going on and everything else. Now, I get these all the time. Sometimes they make me feel really good. Sometimes they're just kind of cute. They never ever make me feel bad. They always incrementally add something to my day. So, tut.com, messages from the universe. But the reason I bring that up is because the last thing it says in there is thoughts become things. We create our own reality. And that's true, but what are thoughts? Thoughts are the brain in action. What is the brain? The brain is a chemical factory. The chemicals that it's producing produce neuropeptides that produce emotions. So, and those emotions, in turn, those feelings, determine how we view reality. So, in a sense, thoughts become emotions. Emotions define how we feel, and then from how we feel about things, that's how our reality appears to us. So it is true that thoughts become things, but there's a little process in between. Thoughts become feelings, become things. That's probably an easy way to say it. Okay, so let's go back to our piece of paper again. And where are we? Because I was going to show you. Didn't I write it on the back of this, or did I write it on the back of something else? Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, so let's see, we've got number 1 done, we've got number 2 done, and we've got number 4 done, right? Just checking. Now take a look at your desire phrase again. The desire phrase is number 2. Think about it for a second. Then close your eyes.
Think about what?
Think about the desire phrase. All right. Take a deep breath in and hold it. Release. Pause. Breathe in. Hold. Release. Pause. Now visualize in your mind receiving your desire. Let it form in your mind's eye. Explore it. Feel how it feels to have that desire fulfilled. Explore that feeling for a little bit. Explore the feeling. Find a name for that feeling. And relax. Breathe normally. And when you're ready, open your eyes and you have your feeling. On line 3, write down, I feel, and the emotion. And this is your feeling phrase, or your visualization phrase, if you prefer. So, we know the first thing, I am. We've identified our desire. We see how it makes us feel. We know what our block is that we're going to release, and then we're going to receive that desire. At this point, if what you wrote on line 3 was an emotion that you didn't want, now might be a time to change your desire. All right, let's talk about Malkuth. Malkuth. Uncouth Malkuth.
Sounds like Darth Vader.
It does, doesn't it? Malkuth, I am Malkuth, Dark Lord of the Sith. Who on earth is Huh? No, 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 no. See, I was just testing. This is kingdom, sorry. It says kingdom down here. Very, very badly written.
You're not a Virgo, are you?
No. It's okay. All right. Malkuth is the last sphere on the tree of life, in a sense. It's the universe around us that we can see, hear, touch, feel, lick, taste, bump into. Whatever exists here can only exist conceptually here. And whatever exists here conceptually manifests here. Now, like Keter, Malkuth is singular. It has no opposite on the tree. This is because the material world is the manifestation of Keter and contains all of the whole within it. As above, so below. As above, so below. Because what we see here with this etheric concept of I am, the Godhead if you want to call it, and the Godhead having desire and creating this universe of etherealness and materialness. This is also in our own head. In fact, the entire universe is in your own head. You just don't realize how big your head is. And I'm not going to go anywhere near that one either. All right. Now this is where everything manifests, and this is the home of the princess. Remember the princess? Fell down, pillar head. The princess, of course, is us. We are the princess. I don't know. Now remember the princess doesn't remember who she is, but she feels the pull of the prince because he's trying to help her remember, and the universe around her is starting to give her clues, and the